All right, so in this video, we're going to look at sample question 7 from the Society of Actuaries ExamP list of sample question. Right, so the question reads, an insurance company estimates that 40% of policyholders who have only an auto policy will renew next year, and 60% of policyholders who have only a homeowners policy will renew next year. The company estimates that 80% of policyholders who have both a auto and homeowners policy will renew those policies next year. And so that's the they give a paragraph about probability that somebody renews a policy, given some information. Next, it tells us of the policyholders the company has, what the percentage breakdown is. It reads, the company records show that 65% of policyholders have an auto policy, 50% of policyholders have a homeowner's policy, and 15% of policyholders have both auto and homeowners. Right. Using these estimates, we want to calculate the percentage of policyholders that will renew at least one policy next year. Okay. So there's a lot of information in this question. We kind of want to break it down, make it more simple, right? So let's, like in either college or high school physics class, even write down what we're given. So I'm going to say the probability of R. R will be the event that they renew their insurance. So the probability that somebody renews their insurance, given that they have an auto policy and only an auto policy, right? That's the first piece of information. So that'd be an auto policy and not homeowners. Well, that's going to be 0.4. And then we go down the rest. The probability that somebody renews a policy given that they have homeowners and not auto, right? So only homeowners. Well, that's 0.6. Right? The company estimates 80% of policyholders who have both auto and homeowners will renew at least one of these policies. So probability that you renew given that you have homeowners and you have an auto policy, well, that's going to be 0.8. And then it gives us information about the number of people that have, or the percentage of all policyholders that have certain policies. Records indicate that about 65% of people have an auto policy. Now, keep in mind, this is people that have an auto policy and not people that only have an auto policy. And then it also gives us the probability of those with homeowners being 50%. And then 15% of policyholders have both auto and homeowners. 0.15. And we want to calculate the percentage of policyholders that will renew at least one of these policies. Okay? The percentage of policyholders, which would be kind of using the numbers from this category based off the likelihoods given in this category. So let me draw a Venn diagram to kind of illustrate what we have here. We have those with auto, those with homeowners, and those with both. The question doesn't talk about situations where there are somebody with neither, right? Because if you don't have a policy, there's no way you can renew a policy. So I don't have an outside box here this time. Everyone's going to exist in these two circles. So in terms of the percentage, it tells me that here, 0.15 of everyone in these circles exists here in the intersection between A and H, right? In circle A, it tells me 65% of people there, 0.65 people should be in that circle, right? Now, so how many people should be in A and only A, right? So it's kind of like how many people exist in that category. Well, we could just simply subtract, and we get 0.5 people have auto insurance and only auto insurance. Similarly, we could do a subtraction here, 0.5 minus 0.15 to get 0.35. They're the people that have only homeowners. Okay. Now we can figure out what percentage of policyholders will renew. And the way we do that is by figuring out, okay, so this is kind of the number of people with only auto insurance, and this is the percentage of them that will renew a policy. So we can simply multiply to get the number of people with only auto insurance to renew a policy. That's 0.4 times 0.5. And then similarly, I can multiply 0.35 and 0.6. And then I can multiply, or 0.15 and 0.8. Right. So the way I've set up this problem to get the full number of those that kind of renew their policy, right? That is simply just me multiplying the number of people with that policy with the probability of that policy. Okay? Now, I'm just going to use a trusty TI-30 to get my final answer. I purposefully don't really look at these questions before solving them on camera because it's important for you to see how I'm actually solving them. So 35 times 0.6 and then 0.15 times 0.8, and I can just add those together. And I get 0.53. Okay, which would get us here, answer choice D. So a fairly straightforward problem. What you have to do is when they give you these giant blocks of text, just break it down to the information you need, right? I took all of these and I'm like, all right, this first block, I just have these 3 pieces. The second block, I just have these 3 pieces. And then what does the question ask me? The question asks me the probability that somebody renews. Okay, sorry about that weird cut. There's one thing I want to just explain about this kind of problem, about something that goes on that I didn't properly talk about in my explanation. And that was the use of the law of total probability. Okay, so law of total probability is saying that say I'm looking for the probability or the percentage of everyone that renews their policy. So, right. So that is law of total probability is where you're breaking up a probability into distinct parts and adding them up. So this is equal to the summation of the probability that somebody rents and some event AI, right? Where every AI is kind of distinct. So in this case, we have 3 types of events. Here, here, and here, right? That's why I'm doing this summation. So the probability that, or the number of people that rent is the probability of renewing your policy. Sorry, I just say rent, I meant renew. Probability of renewing your policy. And the first event, I'll say you don't have homeowners but have auto, right? So only auto. Plus the next event, which would be probability you renew. And the probability you have only homeowners. and added to the probability that you renew, and you have both auto and homeowners. Okay? Now here's the thing, we're not actually given the intersection, we're not given that information, but we can get it, right? So let me just take this one as a quick example. So the probability that you renew and the probability that you intersection with the probability you have only auto insurance, that's equal to something using stuff we already have. This should be equal to the probability that you have only auto, right? So auto and not homeowners, multiplied, I'm going to just write that down here, multiplied by the probability that you renew given that you have auto and only homeowners. Okay? Now, how do I know that? Where did I get that from? That should have been something you learned when you've done conditional probability. Okay? Say you have the probability of event A given B. Right? Conditional probability rules states you should know that is the probability of A intersection with B over probability of B. Okay? So this thing here, right, if I multiply it over to this side, I get the probability that A intersection B is equal to the probability of A given B multiplied by the probability of B. Now this isn't going to be a whole lesson on that stuff. I could probably talk about that for a very long time. However, that's the property I'm using to get this stuff, right? Because I took this and I broke it down into different components like this. So the first thing was, what is the probability that you have auto insurance, an auto policy and not homeowners? Well, that was 0.5, multiplied by the probability that you renew given that you have only auto, which is 0.4. And then I've done that for the rest. So hopefully that becomes a little more clear. If you want me to make a separate video on conditional probability, because again, this video would get way too long if I were to do that and talk more about this, just let me know in the comments. And back to the original stuff I filmed. If there are any other questions, throw it down in the comments. I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. And if you want to check out some more questions, I think I should have a playlist at this point of just ones I've been solving. If this video helped you, definitely hit the like button because that for sure helps me. But other than that, good luck, guys.